if you're at a point in your life where you're feeling stuck, where you're feeling like, damn, what is going on? Y'all really just coming for me at every angle. Y'all are really coming for me in a chokehold. I feel like I gotta do my best, and I'm getting hit. If you feel like you're in that position, please know that experience is only temporary. You being stuck in that position is only temporary. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Hood Soft Life podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina, and in this podcast, we talk about navigating the challenges that come with growing up in the hood and leaving those challenges behind for a soft life. Growing up in the hood has its own set of challenges, but what people don't tend to tell you is not only do those challenges follow you once you've made it out physically, but they tend to intensify. So I'm bringing you along on my journey. I'm going to be honest with you about the struggles and the lessons that I'm learning to achieve a soft life. In this episode, we're going to be talking about feeling stuck, feeling like you're not making any traction towards your goals, your endeavors, your dream life, etc., and how to push past that moment because it is only temporary. So, let's get started. Now that we've pushed past the intro, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that we're in a different setting. We're in my bedroom. I felt like with today's podcast episode, it's going to be a bit more personal, and I didn't feel like doing this in my home office was necessarily the best setting for today's episode. So I'm bringing you into a more personal space of mine, which is my room, and I wanted to talk about feeling stuck. Just like I talked about in the intro, I'm going to be honest with you about the struggles and the lessons that I'm learning to achieve a soft life. And right now, I feel like I'm definitely in a period of struggle, and it's definitely been a challenging experience to go through. And I'll just go off by giving a little background. So right now I'm 23 years old. I work in the education system. I did graduate from college back in 2021 with a bachelor's of science in sociology and a bunch of other things. Not important. And I can definitely say that the messages that I was getting about college, about how it was essentially going to be beneficial for me and push me to advance in my career and get me to where I want to be, I don't feel that. I'm not feeling that right now. And I'm kind of frustrated because I did want to go to college. I do love going to school. I love learning and all of that extra stuff. But I feel like I was pushed into it too soon with this idea of it was going to get me out of the hood and get me to where I wanted to be. And I don't feel like putting that money towards a degree helped. I'm not going to say that I regret going to college. I definitely enjoyed my time where I went with the people that I met, the teachers that I had, the things that I learned, I developed and grew as a person, and I wouldn't change any of that for anything. What I will say though is I wish I didn't go right out of high school because I wish I had more time to think about what it is that I actually wanted to do. I went into college with the idea of becoming a lawyer and helping people from the hood pretty much. And I didn't realize until pretty much like my second to last semester of college that I didn't want to go to law school. That was not going to be the route for me. I actually hated working at a law firm, and I didn't know what I wanted to do next. And so I went into the education system because I love working with kids, and I work with kids of color, and I'm good at developing relationships with kids. And so I went into that pretty much because of just like, okay, something to do to get a paycheck once I graduate. And the thing about the education system is that it's very easy to feel stuck there once you've started, especially if you've been in it for a couple of years. I've been doing this since I graduated from college back in December of 2021. And so now my resume is heavy in education, and I can definitely say, even though I'm only 23, and I'm affirming to myself that I'm not stuck anywhere I don't want to be, it's easy to feel stuck in education. And so one of the places where I feel stuck right now is in my career. I feel like it is going to be extremely difficult to change my career, make a career pivot with so much education on my resume, and with having such a general bachelor's degree. I feel like I don't know how to get to where I want to be with the skills and the knowledge that's on paper, right? I know I'm a good person. I know I'm a smart person. I know that I can achieve the things that I want to achieve if I'm given the opportunity to achieve them and the knowledge to achieve them. But when we go to apply for jobs here in America and all they're really seeing is your application, you on paper, it's very hard to push that towards recruiters and towards hiring managers to understand like there's more to me than just this paper. And so my career is definitely one of the places where I'm feeling stuck right now. Another place where I'm just feeling stuck, or another aspect of my life of where I'm feeling stuck, is just this game that people of color have to play in the world. I'm not saying that this game is necessarily just for people of color. There's different versions of the game for different identities, but the game that I'm specifically talking about is for my people of color. As a young Afro-Latina woman here trying to get to where I want to be in this world and try to elevate in my career and in my personal life, I find that I have to play this game of essentially appeasing people of higher positions to get to where I want to be. Even if I disagree with them, even if I feel like what they're preaching or what their values are highly against mine, they devalue me as a person, they devalue my values and etc. And I don't like the game. I hate it, actually. The game is not designed for me to win. The game is not designed for people of color to win. The game is designed to make sure that people in positions of power who are, using the game to control people like puppets, essentially, this game is designed for them to win. And so I feel like I'm being put in these positions where I have to play the game, and I'm not good at this game. I'm going to lose this game every single time. And so I feel stuck because it's like, I know how I want to respond to these situations, but if I respond to these situations in a way that does not fit the game, I will have consequences that I can't afford to have right now. And so I find myself just being exhausted with the fact that I have to play this game and be meticulous about the way I say things, the way that I show up to things, how I talk, how I dress, whatever the case may be in different aspects of my life, in my career and in my personal life. And it's annoying. It's annoying as a person of color who is simply just trying to achieve success in their eyes, whatever that looks like to them, and having to do all this unnecessary stuff. I can wholeheartedly say that if I was a white woman, I wouldn't have to play this version of the game. And it's annoying to know that there's more hardships on my path to success simply because of my identity, my racial and ethnic identity. And so I am not fucking with that, in all honesty. I'm not really playing around with that because it's just like, it doesn't get me where I want to be, and it makes the path unnecessarily hard. The path is already hard when you're coming from nothing. And so playing this game doesn't make me any happier. And I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they were pretty much saying like, I don't agree with the game. I don't think that the game is fair. I actually think that the game is pretty fucked up, but sometimes you just got to play the game until you get to where you want to be, and then you can play your own game. You can make your own rules. You can do what you want to do. And I remember just saying like, I don't like that. I don't like that I have to wait to get to where I want to be to actually be myself. This game makes me minimize myself, minimize my intelligence to get to a place that I want to be. Now I don't even want to be there because it's like I had to diminish myself and some of my values just to get here, and I'm not a fan of that. So I was doing some networking on LinkedIn, and I actually met a guy named Malachi Horton, and we were having a conversation, and I asked him like, what do you think about the game? And he was pretty much like, I don't feel like we have to play by that game at all. The game's not designed for us to win, and if we continue to play that game in a way that is not true to us, we will have to suffer some of the consequences that come with not playing the game correctly. And so he was pretty much like, we have the ability and the opportunity to create our own game if we want to. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm playing my own version of the game. I've created my own version of the game because the version of the game that's being played out in society is not working for me. I need to find a way to be able to get to where I want to be able to advance in all places of my life, regardless of whether it's my career, my personal life, so on and so forth. in a way that is true to me. I don't want to have to minimize myself. I don't want to have to be meticulous about everything that comes out of my mouth. I don't want to be meticulous about the way that I dress or etc. just to get to where I want to be. These are things that people who don't identify as a person of color, who are not people of color, don't have to worry about. And that's extremely unfair. And life is unfair. I get that wholeheartedly. But if I have the ability to change the game and switch the game up on people, I'm going to do that because this game's not working for me. And in all seriousness, like, I'm the main character of my own show. And if I'm not happy with the game on my show, I can change it anytime that I want to. Something else that I've been thinking about lately in regards to like feeling stuck is burnout. For people who don't know what burnout is, this example might be a little off kilter, but essentially what it is like, think of your car battery, right? You have a car battery. That's one of the many pieces that gets your car to go, gets your car to start, keeps your car functioning. If you have a car battery and you're constantly using your car and you're not doing the car maintenance on it on a consistent basis, checking in on the battery, making sure that it has what it needs, etc., at some point your battery is going to start performing less because it's running out of energy. It's running out of capacity to be able to do what it is supposed to do. And if you are still not checking on that battery, at some point your battery is going to turn off. It's going to die. There will be no more battery and you will need to replace it, and it'll cost you a great deal of money. And so that is my example of burnout. Essentially what burnout is you're running way past E. You are given everything that there is to give. Your cup is now empty. There is no overflow. You're giving out of an empty cup. And at this point, you're handing out IOUs because your cup is empty. And so you're pushing yourself past E. You're pushing yourself past your cup being empty. And now it's starting to manifest in the way that you show up for things. It's manifesting in the way that you show up for relationships. It's manifesting in the way that you show up for your career, for your own self-care. And so now your energy is depleted and you cannot perform at your best self. I had my own personal experience with burnout for the first time in my junior year of college. It was COVID time, we were remote, and I was doing a lot of things on campus remotely. I had 2 majors at the time, 2 minors and a concentration that I was studying for, and I was depleted. I was exhausted. School was definitely the biggest factor, but I also think that other factors were COVID, being in isolation, and the racial tension that was going on in the era in 2020. It was out there in the open. We were seeing so many murders, and it was just so draining to talk about over and over again. Our school had us talking about like our experiences as people of color, etc., as a way to try and amplify our voices, but I don't feel like they necessarily understood how exhausting and how draining that can be. And so I was just over everything. And I just want to go ahead and give this trigger warning right now that I am going to start talking about suicide and suicidal ideation. And so if that is a trigger for people, I completely understand if you need to click out of this podcast episode. And I should have mentioned that at the beginning, so I do apologize for that. But at the time, when I was experiencing burnout, I was just drained with my academic work. I was drained with having to do everything on the computer. I was working full time. We had COVID going on, isolation. That's obviously messing with people's mental health, right? And then we had the racial tension that was going on with 2020 and Black Lives Matter. And that was extremely exhausting to see as a person of color. And I know that that's the reality for people of color, but just to see it on replay, anytime you turn on the TV, anytime you open your social media, it was exhausting. And so it was getting to a point where my mental health was super unhealthy. I wasn't going to therapy at the time because I couldn't afford it. And I was heavily contemplating suicide. And I can honestly say that I was contemplating suicide because I was burnt out. I was tired. I was miserable. And I just could not separate the racial tension that was going on in the real world from me. It felt like wherever I went, it was following me. Even if I took time away from the TV, or if I took time away from social media, the topic itself would find its way back to me, and I was over it. And so I remember sitting on the floor, just bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just want to end my life. And so I ended up going back to therapy and talked to my therapist about it, and it was definitely a long journey to get away from that point. But bottom line is like my brain has now associated burnout with the suicidal ideation that I was also experiencing. There were two separate things for me anyways. There was two separate things. It was burnout, yes, but it was also the depressive episode that I was experiencing at the time. And so I can say that I can see burnout coming for me a mile away now, and I'm nervous. Not because I feel like I'm going to commit suicide or anything like that. I'm grateful to be in a place where I'm mentally healthy enough to know, like, that's not an option for me. Any struggle that I'm going through right now or in the future is temporary, and I don't need to worry about it too much. And so I'm not necessarily worried about suicidal ideation, but I'm worried that because my brain has now associated the two, that it's going to be a very hard path for me. And so I'm trying my best to avoid burnout, but it's just coming for me. Like, I have a bunch of things going on in my career where I don't feel fulfilled and I feel stuck. I feel stuck in my personal life. I feel stuck with how I'm trying to make this business grow. And I just don't feel like I'm moving towards my dream life as much as I would hope for myself at this point in time. And so I can feel myself trying to give all my energy to all these moving pieces to try and get to where I want to be. Not quickly, but just in general. And I can just feel that my body and my mind is tired. It doesn't really have any more to give. And it's kind of just like, girl, like, we need a break. And so I can feel my body and my brain shutting down at certain points of the day. And like I mentioned with the car battery example, it's like I'm starting to show up less than what I would like to in terms of performance for certain parts of my life. And so there are some things that I have been doing to make sure that I keep myself at a healthy balance point where I don't reach the burnout as much as I can. And so here are some of the things that I'm doing to not only feel unstuck, but to also prevent myself from feeling burnout. And so the first thing that I'm doing is expressing gratitude. I have a gratitude journal that I bought January 1st, actually. And I write in the journal as much as I possibly can that I can allow it. Sometimes there are days where I can't receive the positive energy because I'm so stuck in that negative for the moment. And it's okay to let yourself feel that. If you really feel like you're having a bad day, give yourself the time to feel it and then start figuring out how to pull yourself out. Because if you know that you're struggling or like you're having a bad day and you know that you have that feeling in you and you try to just wipe it away, get rid of it as soon as possible every single time, like at some point that's going to come back to you, and you're not going to know how to handle it when you can't dismiss it anymore. And so when I'm able to receive the experience of being able to express gratitude, I'll pull out my gratitude journal, I'll fill out a couple of the prompts, and I will say that definitely helps me. It gets me to feel more positive. It releases more tension off of my body, and it just gives me the opportunity to be like, yes, I know that things are difficult for me. Yes, I know that things are a challenge for me right now, but I am grateful for this thing, this person, this experience, etc. The next thing that I'm doing to make sure that I feel unstuck and to not reach burnout is to make sure that I'm journaling in general, just getting the thoughts off of my head and just expressing like, I feel angry. I feel angry because I feel stuck in a position that I don't want to be stuck in. I'm angry because I feel like I'm reverting in my steps, etc. Be honest with yourself, and your journal should be the place where you get to be the most honest, if anything else. And so I like to do the journaling because I can get the weight off my shoulders. And yes, I have a therapist I can talk to about these things, but when I don't have my therapy sessions that week, because I go bi-weekly, I make sure that I'm journaling a little extra more just to get that off my chest. And if there are some things that I know, like, okay, maybe I should talk about this with my therapist, it's on the paper for me to refer back to later. But it's definitely important for you to get those thoughts off of your mind and get that off your chest as much as possible. It's super therapeutic, especially because, like, depending on the situation, man, I'd be in there like real mad writing on it, and it just feels better to know that I've gotten that out in some way, shape, or form. The next thing that I would say I'm doing is going to the gym. Going to the gym is definitely helping me again because, one, you get that dopamine release when you move your body, when you do some form of exercise, but also something about lifting the weights and just slamming the weights and all that extra stuff is just so therapeutic for me. I feel like, one, I can release a lot of the masculine energy that has me in the chokehold at the gym. I can be that version of myself there and do that, and then leave there knowing that, okay, I can enter my feminine energy now. We have space for that now. We have released all the masculine in the hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours really, that I've spent here, and we can let that go for the day. And that's definitely been helping me because, one, I can let out my anger and my frustration in a healthy way instead of bottling it up in my body. And also, it's really helping me feel better about myself and just to get that dopamine that I need. The next thing I would say I'm doing is having conversations with my friends and just being honest with them about, like, I feel stuck. I feel like I'm not getting to where I want to be, and I feel like I'm not going to get there. It feels unattainable. And just having that open conversation with them feels therapeutic because, one, sometimes you might get a response from your friend that's like, yo, I'm not going to lie, I feel the same way. And it's nice to know that somebody else is in your shoes. Not because you want them to be down, but it's like, okay, I know that it's not just a me thing. I know it's not like, oh, I'm a bad person, or like, what did I do to deserve this? Because I must be the only person going through this. It's like, no, this is a real human experience for a lot of people, and it's not just me, and we can work through this together. And sometimes when you find like your friend is going through the same thing that you're going through, you're more inclined to help them before you help yourself. I don't know what it is. Is that just me? But you feel more inclined to help your friend, and in some way that is also helping you. Making this podcast is definitely a way for me to do that. Like, I want to be able to help people as much as possible, and some of the advice that I'll be giving to y'all, stuff that I don't even be thinking about telling myself until I record this. And so I would highly recommend talking to people that you can trust in and confide in about what it is that you're going through. And then the last thing I would say that's been helping me is having faith. Whatever it is that you believe in, that makes you feel happy and it makes you feel at peace, find that thing. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it, because I feel like when I wasn't really focusing on my faith or my religion, or when I felt so angry with the position that God had put me in and I wasn't really talking to him as much, I found that I was way more unhappy. And so now that I've been investing my time into making sure that I'm in my faith and doing as much as I can, I'm understanding that, right before you're going to achieve the thing that you're looking to achieve for, the enemy throws so much in your path, so much in your way to see if they're going to knock you off, because they know that you're getting this close to getting to the plan that God has for you. And so they're trying to find ways to keep you from that. And so I keep telling myself all the time, like, there's no way I'm going through all of this right now for no reason. There's no way that the path is this difficult if I'm not getting close to something. And that reassures me a lot, in all honesty. I'm not saying that it makes me feel better of like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and eat this challenge up every day. Sometimes it's really not that, but it's just like, okay, we're getting closer to where we're supposed to be in some way, shape, or form. We can't see it yet, but we're getting that sign that it's coming to us, because why else is everything suddenly so difficult? Why else am I getting challenges from all angles of my life, and I'm over here dodging them, trying my best to dodge them like the Matrix? And so that definitely makes me feel better, because it's like, I know that I'm doing something. I'm putting my efforts in the right place somehow, if all of these things are being difficult for me. And I just want to go back to the journaling. I forgot to mention this while I was talking about it, but one of the journal prompts that I had did for myself was really taking a moment to understand, like, where am I at? We're in February right now, and so I set some goals at the beginning of the year that I wanted for myself. And so I had an internal check-in with myself, like, am I working towards those goals? Am I getting to where I want to be with those goals? And just being honest with myself about it. And I know that there were 4 things that I said that I really needed to work on. I set goals for them at the beginning of the year, and I felt like they fell off, or they were falling like second place. And some of those things were in regards to self-care, like going to the gym. Going to the gym was one of the things on the list. I know I only remember 3 off the top of my head, but going to the gym was one of them. And so I set a goal to go back 3 times a week. One, because it's important for me to do therapeutically, but also it's important for me to do just for the goals that I have for my fitness and my health this year. The next thing that I also put on there is like, I need to be firm in my boundaries and keep my boundaries where they're at, especially when I know that there are people coming my way that are trying to give me things or trying to persuade me to do things that I know I don't want to do. And so I keep those boundaries for myself and just pushing myself and reminding myself, like, if I don't want to feel this way, I don't want to do this thing, I don't want to be around this person, I don't have to do that. And just be like, nah, no thanks. I don't have to be rude. I don't have to be rude if it doesn't warrant rudeness, but just being honest and being firm in my boundary of like, nah, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't sit with me. And the third thing is being financially aware and advancing my education in finances, because in all honesty, it's not that necessarily that it's a huge struggle or stressor for me at the moment, but I know that I'm not making the money that I want to make. I know that if I'm trying to be out here booked and busy and being on flights and doing what I want to do, I need to make more money. I need to be more aware of my finances. I need to be financially literate. And so those are the 3 things of the 4 that I wrote down that I can remember that I'm working towards. And so what I would recommend when you do the journaling is to take inventory. If you made some goals at the beginning of the year, ask yourself, where are you at with those goals? I think we forget oftentimes the goals that we set at the beginning of the year because it's a 12-month span before we can remember, like, oh shoot, I forgot I set these goals. And so if you didn't set any goals at the beginning of the year, it's never too late to set some goals, boo. Go ahead and write some down and give yourself some little action steps that will help you get to where you want to be. That has definitely helped me feel unstuck, because it's like, okay, I know that I want to get to here with this specific goal. What are some action steps that I can start doing right now, and putting it back at the forefront of my mind so that I can get to where I want to be and feel that I'm actually putting in the effort to get to where I want to be. We're getting to that point of the episode where we're about to wrap it up, and I have an affirmation for you this week. But before I get to the affirmation, I definitely want to just take a moment to say, like, if you're at a point in your life where you're feeling stuck, where you're feeling like, damn, what is going on? Y'all really just coming for me at every angle. Y'all are really coming for me in a chokehold. I feel like I gotta do my best and I'm getting hit. If you feel like you're in that position, please know that experience is only temporary. You being stuck in that position is only temporary. And if you really feel like you are going through it, honey, 1, get you some help, whether that's through a therapist, whether that's through journaling, expressing gratitude, talking to a loved one that you trust, whatever it is that you think is going to help you best, get you some help, because you cannot do it alone. And 2, understand that if you're going through this much hardship and you're doing it and they're doing this on the path to get to where you want to be, baby, you're getting close. You're getting close to something. Please don't give up. Please don't feel like this is your sign to stop. It's not your sign to stop. If anything, this is the green light to keep going. And so, with that being said, the affirmation for today's episode is, I am not stuck. I will achieve my goals and aspirations, and I will have my dream life. So, I'm going to go ahead and repeat that 3 times. If you have the ability to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you want to write this down, if you want to say this out loud, however you want to speak this positivity upon your life, affirm this positivity, please do it. Please, please, please do it. In all honesty, if you're feeling stuck, do it. Tell yourself this, because if you don't speak this positivity upon yourself, if you don't keep reminding yourself of like, you're not stuck, it's going to be hard for you to train your brain to remind yourself like, you don't have to be anywhere you don't want to be. And so I'm going to go ahead and repeat it 3 times. I am not stuck. I will achieve my goals and aspirations, and I will have my dream life. I am not stuck. I will achieve my goals and aspirations, and I will have my dream life. I am not stuck. I will achieve my goals and aspirations, and I will have my dream life. Well, that's all I have for y'all today. Let me know how you felt about today's episode. Like I said, I'm going to be honest with you about the struggles and the lessons that I'm learning to achieve a soft life. And so this one was definitely one where I had to be honest about the struggles and just remind y'all, like, the path is not linear. The path is not perfect. The path is not pretty all the time. And that's okay. We need more of that realness, more of that authenticity of like, damn, I am really going through it, but I'm going to get past it and everything's going to be okay. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you feel about me filming in my room. Does that feel more authentic? Does that feel more personal? I kind of like it because I feel like the desk setup makes it feel like I'm just, I don't know, spewing out education. Let me know what you thought about today's episode. You can follow us on YouTube or Spotify, depending on what you're listening to this on, at the Hood Soft Life Podcast. You can go ahead and follow us on TikTok and IG at the HSL Pod. I'm going to stop making the announcement for the Apple Podcast until I can finally get that up. In all honesty, like, me and Apple right now, we're kind of like going back and forth. But anyway, you can follow us on those 4 platforms, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye.